Hey guys, this is Jordan, and I'm in a hotel right now, and this is not scripted. So I'm just going to speak what's ever on my mind and then name the video afterwards and see what really happens with this. So, those of you who care about me, and those of you who actually follow me and actually care about my story and me as a person, and want to support actual me recovering from body dysmorphia, gender dysphoria, internalized homophobia, uh, trying to get better with my social skills with autism, my mental health issues. Those of you who actually care about me as a person, thank you for watching. Those of you who still support fake me, I'm sorry to say, but that version of myself is forever dead. And the reason why that is because I'm done trying to people please people. I'm done trying to be whatever you guys want me to be. I'm done with this fake bullshit with the trans identified people and this whole thing that people think is real, but it's really not. And I am just here to shed light on that and share that none of this stuff is real. It's all made up in people's heads, it's all fabricated, and they lie to you about what they actually are, and it's really sad because they're so ashamed of what they actually are that they can't admit it. But I've become in a place where I've healed enough to understand that you have to accept what you are to be able to accept who you are. And you'll never be able to do that if you're trans identified. It's never going to happen. If you don't accept the help, it will never happen. And that's what I've had to do. I've had to accept the help. I've had to recover from this because I'm not going to be yet another stain on my family's problem list. And the reason why I've always been a stain to them is because I've always dealt with mental health issues since I was kindergarten. And I've spoke about that in my last few videos if you've been listening. And I don't want to be this stain on my family anymore. I want to be able to be successful. I want to be able to be authentically me. I want to be able to be this person that I can be without having to be this fake, fabricated version of myself, which I thought the only way I could live my life is if I faked my life for the rest of my life. It was the ultimate sacrifice to myself. It was killing myself without killing myself. It was bringing this version of myself that had, no, it didn't even look like me. It didn't act like me. It tried to impersonate me, basically. And, I know a lot of people say that females that went on testosterone and regret it are the victims, but anyone who does this to themselves is a victim of themselves. And I'm just yet another victim of myself that has done this to myself. I hate this. I don't, you know, I didn't want to live after I've done this to myself because realizing I have yet again failed. I've yet again made people uncomfortable and, you know, just being fake and not real, and it's made me very depressed. It's made me feel immense regret because I wasn't real for many years, and I made it women's problems. It's a woman's problem that a man is dysphoric. It's a woman's problem that he's autistic and that, he's disabled. It's her fault, right? I should take that out on women. I should go into their spaces and make them feel uncomfortable because I'm uncomfortable as myself, as what I am. So it's not their mess to clean up, it's my mess. And I accept that. I regret it. I regret I did that. But I accept that I can recover from it. And I accept that one day I'm going to look back at this and say, look at this silly little mistake I made when I was a teenager. It's so silly, it's so stupid. I I can say that it's left an effect on my body and a little bit, but it hasn't made that bad of a permanent effect where I'll always be frustrated and never content with myself again. Because for a lot of women that go through this, they lose their voices and grow facial hair and can never really fully recover from it because they're not able to voice train like I was, and pluck and stuff, and they're more lazy with it, I guess. I don't know what to tell you. This is just my honest truth, is that women with the deep voices from testosterone could easily change it back, because they could easily sound like this again. And they don't want to because they probably want you to feel bad for them. I don't know what their deal is, or maybe they haven't learned the techniques well enough. Whatever the case, I wouldn't feel bad for her. I don't feel bad for me because I haven't lost a part of my body. I'm not a loser in this. And yes, I am a victim. I will admit all of us are victims, but we're not losers. Those of us who are able to salvage our bodies before we completely disfigure them, we're not losers. We won. We succeeded. We've recovered our bodies back to what they can be, back to the degree that they can get back to off of the hormones. We may have lost, I've lost my chest. The women, they may have lost their voices. They may have lost something, but they've gained insight that this was a horrible mistake and that they can recover from it and say the truth, which is that people who are so uncomfortable with themselves, who do this to themselves, will probably never be comfortable with themselves. If I'm being honest with you, I realistically don't think anyone who's willing to lie about their biological sex for the rest of their lives are ever going to be comfortable with themselves. That's the God honest truth. If I was like that, I would probably never be comfortable with myself. And that's just the truth. And I'd probably be messing up my health eventually. I'd probably, get SRS and mess up my body down there and mess up what I have. And then I'd probably just regret it, but continue on with it and live the delusional, fabricated life for the rest of my life so that I can salvage what little bit of comfortable I can feel. But it will never be comfortable. It will never be real because doctors can't make it real. They can't make this reality a reality. They can't make this a full thing. They can only give you the trans body, which the trans body is not like a normal man or a woman's body. It's this androgynous, infertile, almost intersex looking thing. And it's sad because people fall for it and they are like, well, I'm going to be this for the rest of my life. Okay, well, you're going to have to deal with the possibly health complications. I'm not going to support people who actively harm themselves and lie to others. Who wants to support that? Anyone who supports it is not right in the head. And my parents, luckily enough for me, are right in the head enough to have supported it, not thrown me out. But they did kind of mess up by giving me hormones. They did kind of mess up by saying the fake pronouns and stuff. They could have, gotten me in touch with reality. But that's okay. They thought this would be the way to do it because people have lied to them that this is the only way to do it and no other way exists. Genspect didn't exist until I was a year into my transition. So unfortunately, I was a person floating in a life jacket surrounded by sharks and they were just too late to save me. So, unfortunately, I will always live with the consequences I've done to myself, yet they be small, but that's going to have to be how it is, and I accept that. But I really want people to accept their sex. This is why I've made this channel. Maybe if you accepted your sex, you wouldn't do this to yourself. Maybe I'm just saying something you've always heard from other people that tell you, well, this is going to hurt you, and you hear that, you think it's transphobic, you think it's, sexist or some other form of abuse. But honestly, they're really trying to help you when they say this stuff. They really want to be close with you, and they do respect you. They know that many people have been hurt by this, including me. And they know that this will never make you the other sex. They know it's a failed experiment to begin with. And why wouldn't a friend want to warn another friend about that? If I was friends with someone and they wanted to pretend to be the other sex, I would tell them right off the bat, girl, you're not a boy, and boy, you're not a girl. That's not how this works. You're not, you're not becoming yourself. You're trying to escape yourself because you've never felt what it's been like to be the other gender. You never will know what it's like either. So you thinking you're this thing that you're not is just running away from who you are. And it will always be running away from who you are. Because biology, in the sense, runs what you are. Biology doesn't run what you're sexually attracted to always. Sometimes, I guess mentally it might. That's a biological thing. But, there's just more evidence for me to just not believe this than there is for me to believe it. So, so I'm going to just say that I had a dream last night that basically consisted of me being a 12-year-old or 10-year-old boy again. And I have dreams like this sometimes where I'm a kid again, but this time I wanted to be popular. I wanted to be cool in school and, have a bunch of bros to hang out with and, be the coolest one there. And, because I never really was. I was kind of an outcast, and I always wanted to be friends with the popular guys. They're always into sports and stuff, though, and I just wasn't. I was into video games, and I couldn't really get much guy friends. And the one that I did get was, I don't know, he was alternative, I guess. And then the girls at our school, I don't know what they were even into. I couldn't tell you because I never really hung out with the girls, I guess. I mean, I did a little bit. I hung out with both, people, but usually they're alternative. Usually they weren't like the other girls, like the other guys. My first crush was on a lesbian, so, that, or maybe it was my second crush. But I always think about it, and I'm like, I wish that I could have fallen in love with her. I could have liked her, at least, I have fantasies about that sometimes, where it's like a missed opportunity. I always wanted to just tell her I liked her and stuff, and not have her overreact, but but that was one of my closest friends. I was very close with her. It's just not fair. And, I guess she thinks she's non-binary and probably a lesbian, and, that kind of sucks. But, what am I going to do? I mean, I guess if I faked being a girl, she would like me, maybe. Because that's what, trans lesbians are like. They're just men that fake being women so they can be with a woman. that's, supposedly a lesbian. But anyways, you know, I wanted many guy friends too. I just wasn't into sports. I just thought about the risk to these sports that they were playing, and thought that I didn't want to get hurt, and you know, if I became friends with these guys, I was going to have to play football or something. And I was even told by this one girl, she was the only girl on the football team, and she had told me, probably in ninth grade, that, oh, maybe you should join football and stuff. And I was like, no, I don't want to. And I guess there's a risk and there's a benefit to everything. But I just didn't want to be, you know, alternative. I didn't want to. I mean, looking at it now, the one game I probably would have played though, I'm thinking if I did play a sport, it would probably be basketball. I always said soccer when I was a kid, but probably basketball. So in my dream, when I was a popular guy, I had her as my girlfriend. I was playing basketball, and I had all these bros around me, and it was awesome, and it was everything I ever hoped for. And now it's like, it's just never going to happen probably, because I'm 20 now and I'm just too old. And if I do get into college, it's like, everyone will be younger than me, and I'll be the oldest there. Even though I look very young, I'm not as young as them. And that those few years that I was going down to art school and stuff, it wasn't a waste. I really appreciate the time I took with this. But it's like, I want to be able to have a group of guys I can hang out with. I want to be able to have a girlfriend. I want to be able to have this life that I've always wanted. But I'm scared, because what if I give up part of myself for it? What if I give up what I did when I tried to become a girl? What if it's like that? What if it's just another failure in my mind? Because I think about it. I want to be this great artist. I want to see the world. I want to, have a wife. I want to have kids. I want to have very close friends, and I don't know if it's ever going to happen. Because what if I don't make it? What if I took myself out of this world? What if I just didn't live? Because I feel like the consequences of what I did was great, and I hate what I did to myself, and I hate that the time I missed trying to be that fake thing and not getting as many experiences as I could have. And I would have redid my whole entire senior year. I mean, sure, I would have still maybe cross-dressed. I don't know. But I would have talked to the popular guys. I would have, you know, joined tennis maybe. Maybe I would have joined basketball. Who knows what I would have done, but instead I decided to be this kind of fake person, and I decided to not pursue what I wanted to do. And I do want to get strong. I do want to be manly. I do, I want to be masculine, in some aspects. But I do want to keep this feminine side to myself. Because it's like we all have these combinations of feminine and masculine. The only thing that's stagnant is biological sex, which is why any guy can look like a girl, any girl can look like a guy, but they're still their sex. And they're still their gender. I know that, gender is just a social construct, it's fake, no, gender is tied to biological sex. Gender is, is the characteristics from the biological sex. But if you don't match the thing is, your biological sex is what you are. So those are the pronouns I would refer to you as. But the gender is, you pursuing those supposed stereotypes of your gender. And, I guess a woman could look like a man and pursue the stereotypes of a man, but she's still a woman. And it's a woman pursuing the stereotypes of a man. It's not a man pursuing the stereotypes of a woman. So it's not the same thing. It's like it's like cross-dresser is still a man. A male cross-dresser is still a man. A female cross-dresser is still a woman. I don't know why this is so hard for people to really understand. It's just cosmetically altered people. And it's very simple to me. Women can be infertile, men can be infertile, but they're still their sex. Women can have PCOS, men can have gynecomastia. They're still their sex. I don't understand why this is so hard for people to understand. And I'm just stating the obvious here. I'm not, and intersex is a medical condition. It's not really a sex or gender. It's just kind of a medical issue. And it's like, when I talk about, I guess the closest thing you can really get to gender, I guess, is when you assign these things to characters, objects, like a mystical creature, right? The mystical creature is a girl because it sounds like one, and it's voice acted by a woman. But the mystical creature says it's they, them, or something like that. But it's still, to you, it registers as a woman. Because it's voice acted by a woman. So, I don't know, I guess another example would be, okay, actually, wait. So, an example of gender would be, like, let's say Roxy from FNAF. They say, oh, that's a woman, because Roxy kind of looks feminine. Roxy has longer hair, paints her nails, wears makeup and stuff, and has kind of boobs and curves, I guess. But really, she's just an inanimate object that we've assigned her gender because it's based off of these social characteristics. In reality, Roxy, the robot, is just an it. It's not a person, it's an it. It's got a voice actor, by a woman. So we say it's a woman because that's her voice. It's a woman's voice that comes out of that object. Just like with Chica, and when she loses her voice box, she's more like a zombie too. And, it really does show that she's just is just a robot. When they start to get decommissioned, you really start to see that. Like Monty, he sounds like a man. And, when he loses his voice, or he loses his character, I guess, you can really start to tell that it's not a man. It's just a robot with, programmed feelings. And, with the first FNAF, though, people guess they're all boys, of course, because none of them had, like, secondary sex characteristics. But none of them, all of these characters, they do have an assigned gender, but they don't really have a gender. They don't really have a sex. And the coolest character, which I've always thought was cool, is Mangle. Mangle actually has two genders. It's both a male and a female. Well, I guess a man and a woman, socially speaking. And it's really an it. It's really, Scott made a joke that Mangle's gender was a yes. But really it's an it. The thing is, people don't have genders. Things have genders. Objects can have genders based off of what we think of sex. It's, the social or culture things. Like, a bow in the hair is a girl thing, or a tie is a guy thing. We just randomly made that up. Or makeup is, for guys, oh no, it's for girls, oh no, it's for both. That's kind of how makeup went too. But really, it's just these characteristics we assign their gender to these objects, to these things. Uh, plants do have gender too. But, oh, we can say, oh, this flower is a girl or this, But, they do have a sex. So you would have to say that, and a lot of them are hermaphrodites. I know a lot about plants too, so that's kind of why I brought that up. A lot of flowers have both female and male parts, so they're really a guy and a girl. But humans don't usually work that way. Our genders, our sexes are very kind of rigid, I guess. I mean, gender and sex are a little bit separated. I will admit that. Because, objects can have gender, But, the thing is, your sex is your gender. It connects to it as humans. Culturally, you're raised as a girl. Culturally, you're raised as a boy. People usually do that. Or they don't usually have these in-between things or try to raise a girl as a guy or vice versa. Or sometimes they, don't really give that at all. And there's a diversity to this. But the thing is, your gender is relying on your sex. So regardless how you present yourself, you're still your sex and you're still eternally linked to that thing. That's why I say, it can look many different ways for people. But it's all sorted into two categories because that's very easy to remember and it's very easy to categorize people and to know how to treat them and to know what they are is important because, men have prostates, women have Sky's gland or whatever. I also study a little bit of biology, so I know what's different about men and women. But yeah, anyone can wear anything, and that's okay, and they can call themselves whatever they like, but they're still what they are. Because we're not objects. We can't just assign gender to ourselves. Because we just are what we are. It's like trying to assign, I don't know, race to people, I guess, in a way, where it's like, oh, you feel this race. Oh, no, you feel this race. It's not a feeling. Race, gender, sex, none of it is a feeling. It's a state of being. It's got characteristics to it, but it's a state of being. It's a tangible, existable thing that you can recognize and observe at birth. And with 98% accuracy, you're correct. For the 2%, those are intersex with conditions. But trans isn't intersex. Trans is people that are mentally confused because maybe some brain chemistry got wrong. And, I feel bad for them. I really do. It must be really isolating to feel this way always, like they allegedly do. But really, I do think it could also just be social stigma and there's so many case-by-case things I would have to go by because there's thousands of different possibilities for why someone's trans-identified. But it's all incorrect because none of it is feasibly possible or tangible to become the other gender. So all of them are incorrect with their assessments and their assumptions about themselves, unfortunately. Because becoming a different gender, it's not like you're getting a new job. You're not like, oh, I'm fired from this job, I'm going to join the military. It's not like you can choose this. It's not something you can choose. It's not something you can pick. And, it's not something you can make up. It's not, I'm an it, I'm a they, I'm a, it's not something you can just add to an arsenal of collections of gender and that's why I'm going to be very sensible to people that are gender confused because I know what it's like and, got to be sensible to these people that are confused because that's the best way of doing this. And it's not good to abandon someone when they're in a time of need like this. It's not, because they're mentally ill. They need help. I don't know what's wrong with their brain. I couldn't tell you. I'm not a neurologist. I don't specialize in this, but from what I've seen, they have a real mental issue that needs help and not surgeries and hormones, regardless how they feel afterwards. It's not, it's unethical. It's just blatantly unethical. It's not right. And it's not right to just abandon those who need help, who need support. And maybe it is annoying. For some people, yeah, you can abandon them. My best friend abandoned me for 3 years because I was trans identified, and I missed him every single day. But you just have to have the self-love, and eventually things will fall into place. You can't have that as a trans-identified person. The people that do love you only love the fake you. They'll never love the real you. They'll never love the version of yourself that you were born as, the version that you always will be, and that you hide from others using hormones or surgeries. They'll never love the real you, just like you won't love the real you. So it'll never be just completely love. It wouldn't be a completely loving relationship, I believe, from what I've seen from it. It's not going to be, it's going to be, you can't accept each other completely. And in a relationship like that, if you can't accept each other, it's not going to work out, I don't think. Unless you're both very, built in this kind of mentally ill way where you can just both do it, which the only people that I think can really do it is if they're trans-identified themselves. Like, two trans-identified people falling in love seems more likely than the whole population. And people that are, consider themselves queer might fall in love with them more because, I don't know, they're more wrapped up in it, and they, are. But I don't think really anyone can love a person such like that. I mean, they might like them, they might think of them as a fetish, they might adore them, but really they will never have the true love for that person. And that is something you have to accept if you're trans-identified, is that you'll never find someone that will love you as you. So, I never could find anyone that loves me as me, and, I've never had true love, I will say. Even though I was, in love with someone during my transition, I never had true love. I've never had it before. I've never had someone accept me as me before without, because when I was in my relationship, and this is part of why I hated it, it's because I couldn't show the real me. I couldn't show that I was a boy ever. I couldn't show my parts. I couldn't show what I am. I would have to lie about it. I would have to cover up old photos of myself that had me with shorter hair and, and old videos of myself that had me with my voice. I had to basically remove myself from the relationship, and it was isolating. And the only person that would understand this is my parents and my close loved ones that know me as me, that know Jordan as Jordan, and not this fake thing, that I had to literally put aside myself so that I could be in a quote-unquote loving relationship, even though it was abusive. And this relationship had really messed me up because, someone like that can't love you as you. And this person was also autistic and, couldn't function correctly and had their own issues, and, I couldn't help them. I wanted to help them. I wanted to help myself, and it wasn't going to work because I truly wasn't giving myself self-love. I was giving myself estrogen, which isn't self-love. It's a type of hate, I guess. It's a type of body body non-acceptance, and I couldn't love myself, so how was I supposed to love someone else? How was I supposed to be there for them? How was I supposed to not focus on myself in this kind of narcissistic psychosis type delusional episode? How was I supposed to do it? And now it's like I have that. I finally have all the pieces there again. I have my fertility back. I have my reproductive tract working again. And I am having my real voice again and my real personality, and all of it is back. And yet I still don't have that special someone. No one loves me as me. And that really sucks. And it goes to show you that, in the Mean Girls, Regina, she's popular but hates it. She has to deal with all this stuff that she doesn't want to deal with, but she's putting herself through it so that she gets this one little thing, which is popularity. And unfortunately, I'm never going to do that. I don't want to. I've put myself through a position where I wasn't myself. I was pretending to be someone else, and it really hurt me. So now I can never fake myself again. I have to be truly, authentically me for the rest of my life. Because if I do that again, I'm going to end my life. I'm going to not be here. And that I'd rather be here than not fake my life. So unfortunately, to all those who think that, the last version of myself, who was supposedly a girl, who was so pretty, and whatever you say, you believe that that thing was a girl, you're sorely going to miss it forever, because unfortunately, I can't pretend to be something I'm not. I mean, I can see how it might be funny to troll people as it. I mean, I've seen this one guy, he's a big Russian dude, you probably know who he is, Vladimir or whatever. I've been watching his content, and it's just, he can fake being a woman so well too. Just like all these trans-identified men. That's why people think he's trans, because, we all know that they're just faking being what they're not. So anyways, they're like, he can make money off of it, he can get popularity, he can get a lot of subscribers, and he has a girlfriend, and he's got this whole life that I wish I could have, and I wish I could have gotten, but all I got was this gynecomastia, and it's not fair. I feel like I deserve better, but yeah, it's too late. I'd rather find love as me. Take care.